Lovely welcome to this new transmission about the 64 Chinky. If you want to know what this tree by my side here has to do with this Chinky, then you have to stay tuned in this transmission, because it has a very special meaning towards this last Chinky, and yeah, I will tell the story a little bit later. So this Chinky is the shadow of confusion, the gift of imagination, and the Siddhi of illumination. The programming partner is the 63 Chinky, which is at the highest level, the true of the truth. And yeah, this both Chinkys are the last transmissions. The psychology is the pineal gland of both actually, of the 63 and 64, like means the third eye, and the codon ring is of the 64 the alchemy, and alchemy is the codon ring where there is the 6 Chinky of peace, the 40 we had last week, divine will, and then also the 47, which is transfiguration. This is the transmission that will be there in 6 days. So let's go into the confusion. In the confusion of Chinkys, the chaos of the elements. With the 64 Chinky, we come to one of the greatest mysteries of existence, the mystery of inner light. When this light is obscured within a human being, it results in confusion, the 64 shadow. Confusion is the great human shadow state. It sweeps across our world like a great blanket, smoothing, disempowering, and screening the mass consciousness from the true nature of reality. So, and this is really, like you could say, also the matrix, that where we actually don't see reality as it is, in a way. And as we see repeatedly throughout the 64 Chinkys, the shadows are not inherently bad in the sense of being evil. They are in fact the raw material of the higher fields of consciousness, like the nuggets of a gold that may hide a diamond of great beauty. This I also love to compare this with limiting beliefs, because the shadows are a lot of time limiting beliefs, limiting belief systems, and at the time when we activate them, they are not bad. We protect ourselves from some influences that might be really bad at the time. So, and it's just from that time that it's developing into a more shadow, into a consciousness awareness of a shadow, and also into this collective shadow where we are in this illusion, in a sense, of that confusion. So confusion is a state with neither order nor structure. It is a state rippling with pure potentiality. Only when the human mind attempts to interpret it does it become bewildering. So it's really like this state of the pure conscious ocean, and because we are all a part of this ocean, we just get confused, because we get a lot of information into our field and to our aura that is actually just from the field. It has nothing to do with us so much. However, we get influenced by that. We get influenced by today TV, by what the programs telling us, what we should buy, what we should not buy, what we should do for our health, and what we should not do for our health. All of this is very subtle from this ocean potentiality, from our collective earth and also the humanity, and we get a lot of that stuff into our field every day. And so this is kind of my view of this confusion, that is just sometimes too much. We from one to next, and we are not able to filter out the information that are important for us. And that gives us, for example, exhaustion. This is the 40 shadow of, the 40 Chinky, the shadow. And it gives us conflicts, which is the 6th Chinky. and it also gives us suppression, like the 47 Chinky. All of them help us to not have to deal with this potentiality, and that is the main purpose of the limiting beliefs, also in a sense, to not just see that deep into yourself. And this is also the beauty of the game at the same time, because we are not supposed to know and to have access to everything and understand everything all the time. So each of the 64 shadows is born out of the human mind's tendency to identify with whatever it sees. That's exactly what I just told. We then also identify with this, what comes into our aura and into our field. This tendency creates a biofeedback loop between the two polarities of each shadow state. In this case, the loop is generated between the 64th shadow of confusion and its programming partner, the 63rd shadow of doubt. Here's how it works. At every moment, your thinking reflects the way in which the inner body is feeling. At every moment, your thinking reflects the way in which the inner body is feeling. If your overall frequency is low, you generally feel a kind of background unease throughout your physical, emotional, and mental bodies. This unease is generated by the global frequency in which we all live. In other words, every human feels the suffering of the whole world through the quantum field that connects us all. The more you listen into your body, the more you will attune to this collective sense of unease that is rooted in fear. Most people develop patterns from an early age to escape feeling this vast desert of world pain, and the mind is the first line of defense. As long as we are addicted to thinking, we can avoid fully this feeling. So this is exactly what I also just told before, just in different words and different aspect, that we really we don't know what's happening, and that brings also the 63rd shadow into the play with our doubts and self-doubts, and then we don't know what's going on. We are confused, we doubt about something that comes in, we don't know who we are. We are totally distracted about the reality as it actually is, and we live always in this animated reality that is actually very far away from our true reality. So your basic urge to flee from this pain will keep you from ever facing what you really are. And this fact, lying deep within your cells, gives rise to another of the great human shadows, self-doubt. We human beings doubt ourselves because we are not really ourselves in the first place, exactly what I just already told. Instead, we inhabit the confusion, and the more our minds try to cope with this confusion, the more we feed our own self-doubt. It is a biofeedback loop. So it's really important to get out of the biofeedback loop by actually using the biofeedback loop. Thus, our true potential is never fully lived, or as Taurus so aptly put it, we lead lives of quiet desperation. We just don't know what we are supposed to do because we are confused, we are in doubt, and in this shadow, in this state, we are just lost, we don't know what's going on. So the mind lives in a state of permanent confusion, trying to make it all go away. But confusion is a dead-end street, as it... I just walked on some wood here. Major distraction. Let's start it again. The mind lives in a state of permanent confusion, trying to make it all go away. But confusion is a dead-end street. It is a falsely fabricated by the mind. The moment the mind stops thinking, the confusion ends, which shows you what a sham it is. As you will shortly see, at the Siddhi frequency, the state that we refer to as confusion is actually the holiest state of awareness there is. Because it is the potentiality, and that's why it's It's holy. Holy as... I better not say the word. I guess you know what I want to say. Maybe not. Maybe it's better you don't know. So we soon go into the higher frequencies, so don't worry, it will get better. The 64 Chinki is an integral aspect of the Ring of Alchemy, which includes 3 other great alchemical Chinkis. The 6th Chinki, which causes confusion in your relationships, because we are in a conflict all the time, we project something out, we keep it in and suppress it within us. The 47 Chinki, which looks you into a futile battle with your own mind, and the 40 Chinki, which leads to a profound feeling of isolation. Nice explained from a different perspective. I really love that. So what are the natures here? There's always the repressive, which is we suppress ourselves more, we passively get the stuff in, and we just put it in our emotions and never deal with it, and we lock the door and we just leave the emotions all there. So it takes an enormous amount of energy to repress our inherent human pain. To repress that amount of pain, you actually need a great deal of support from others, ironic as that may seem. So this support comes in the form of the status quo, from the millions of others who also hide from the truth of how the world feels and bury themselves in activity and thinking. Half of the world represses their confusion through imitation. They do whatever their parents did, or they do what their friends and teachers do. Imitation is the arch enemy of imagination. There we come also to the 8th Chinki. I did the transmission already. I put here the link to the 8th transmission, which is mediocrity, style, and exquisiteness. That goes more into this detail when you're interested in how the society programs us more and how we are able to get out of that into our own style. Then you can watch the video afterwards. So the funny part is also that some of them are actually so good that it looks original, however it's still imitating. So when you are able to sell really good and people are not able to see that as selling, and you are able to embody another personality really good, then it can look original even if it is fake. So let's go to the reactive nature. This is confused. Did I actually tell what the other one is? Yeah, imitating. Okay. I even just get confused by this. It's unbelievable, right? Reactive nature, confused. In such people, the core human pain is held in their DNA, is externally expressed through their outer lives. Such lives are always incredible, confused. They are the people who simply cannot stay in relationships without being abusive. Whilst the repressed nature is a victim of the status quo, the reactive nature is a victim of their anger towards the status quo. Their lives are lived in an unconscious attempt to take revenge on life itself. These people react against the status quo, often in an aggressive and unpredictable manner. Yeah, so it's just the opposite in a way. It's more the projecting, it's getting it out into the world with certain manipulation, abusive strategies to make other victims. Finally, we come to the imagination, to the gift. The art of life. The suffering we feel through though real within the context of our psychology, is an illusion when it comes to our minds, and our minds hold the key to its release. As we see at the shadow frequency, the mind automatically collapses into confusion when faced with the pain underlying life. And that is also the cycle and the loop. I see a lot of people, I have a lot of kind of very close people I have had, whatever, and I can see really this loop of being confused, and then because it's too painful and the suffer, you rather go back into the confusion state, and then it circles all the time around, and it's getting so deep that you even discarnate. You are not even here anymore. This is also what the sixth line is about. If you're into the lines, like the sixth line is about the transcending, also about the higher chakras, and you just discarnate, or you are absent. You are not even here. And if you are just as an exercise today, if you're just walking around, and some people are just not there. They are just not present. They are not. I don't know what they are. They look like they are there, but they are just bots, you would say, in a computer game. They are just like people that are actually just playing their programs the whole day. And so that's why it's so important to do your inner work, that you are able to really be in the use of the free will, and in the use of more consciousness. And the more I see and use consciousness, the more actually I notice how little I use. I use like nothing. Even now, like I use so little, and I think like, oh my god, like there's so many possibilities of what I'm able to do, and I have mastered none of them. And I'm thinking like, oh my god, this is crazy. And so it's not like there is an end. There is like, it's just going on and on and on. And that's also the joy of being human. It's to really transcend and to give a rebirth to who you thought you are, and to really become who you are supposed to be. And yeah, within nothing to do and nothing to distract your awareness, the pain quickly comes to the surface. Interestingly, this is one of the roles of meditation, to allow this pain to rise to the surface of your awareness so that it can be transmuted. I agree. I also used meditation in that way. 3.5, 4 years ago, I was really deeply into suffering and pain, because I had like kind of like a very big awakening for me, which changed all of my beliefs and works. Before, I was a victim and thinking like, okay, anyway, nothing what I do has anything, anyway, whatever I do will not happen. And then I realized I'm really the creator when I'm working on it. And it was really a shift from this victimization to this being free and creation, and that I really have the power to change the things. And that was a really big shift, and there were a lot of fears coming up, and meditation helped tremendously for me to be in a state of suffering while while keeping the distance in a way, and to let it slowly go, allow it to be there, accept it, and give it a hug, maybe even say like, oh, it's so nice that you're here, and then you are able to let it go. And this is also a way how I was able to be able to feel more of the pain. Like, it's just like training a muscle in a sense. So all it takes is willingness to feel the pain, and the miracle begins. Once you realize that there is no point in trying to make the pain go away, you may finally begin to see the loop you have been caught in. It is your mind that continuously takes you away from pain by distraction, by a lot of different things. Yeah, no worries. I'm I'm no exception here. No exception. Definitely not. Thus, the moment you take away the mind's food, your belief that it can help you, all the energy that was going into feeding it is gradually liberated. In certain rare cases, this energy can be abruptly liberated, causing the phenomena known as sudden enlightenment. It's kind of like what I told about my experience. Actually, I upload a video about this experience probably next week. And you will find it on the channel in the next 7 to 14 days. I did a video where I explained exactly what happened and how I dealt with it, in a sense. So, imagination is born out of confusion, but only when you embrace confusion without trying to change it. Imagination allows alchemy to occur inside your being. In the beginning, you may paint, write, sing about, or simply tell a story of your pain and how it feels to you. Very important. That is the essence for me of the gift level, to be able to alchemically change these pains into some art, into whatever you love to do, or what you discover that you had not been discovered yet. There's a lot of hidden qualities you have that you just did not discover yet, and I find every day new qualities that I was not aware of having, and yeah, I check to refine them as good as possible. For example, what I can tell, what I use is in a way hums, like when I feel in a bad stage of something, or I feel my energy is in a strange mood or a very confused mood, then I'm rebalancing myself with just getting a sound out, and not only sounds, it's getting music for me. Like I just play internal music. It could be something like, for example, just something funny or whatever, just to resonate with the system, and yeah, to just make some humming, some vibration that uplifts the energy. And this is something I use a lot because it's really simple and easy to use. What matters is that it can be expressed and accepted. That's important. I noticed for me it's really hard to accept something that I was sure I'm not before. Like I make this humming or this sounds when I'm around people. Sometimes I'm still feeling like I'm kind of crazy, even if it's like normal to also be able to do some music or natural sounds. And yeah, it's just a developing stage. So in fact, at the gift frequency, pain can be more than simply expressed. It can become art. I could probably make some art if if I would be confident enough to work on some of there actually come a lot of insane kind of melodies sometimes up. I don't know, maybe at some point there will be something coming up for me. So as you allow your frequency to rise further, your demons will gradually reveal their hidden nature. The light will emerge from inside them, and the frogs will become princes. All true art is alchemical. Awesomely explained. The other great power of imagination is that it spells the death of imitation. To imagine means to go where no one else has been before. To break free from mental, intellectual, and cultural restraints. Imagination is abstract, illogical, and wild. It creates wormholes between worlds, moving too swiftly to analyze itself for meaning or reason. To imagine is to leap, to bound, and to whoop with the light outside of all logic and patterns. It is the source of all art. Those who exemplify the gift of imagination understand light and the property of light. Light makes images possible. We all know that. And images are the fuel of imagination, as the etymology of the word suggests. To image is therefore to see and envision shape, color, form, and movement. It bridges inner vision with the outer eye. It allows your life to become a work in progress, a true work of art. Yeah. Nothing more to say. Actually, this is a transmission where I already put so many personal insights. So let's go right into the Siddhi Illumination, enlightened poetry. The 64th Siddhi is the Siddhi of illumination. This is imagination without the I. When that I surrenders its need to exist, magic shines through. So you work in the sense of pure consciousness, instead of your I as a personality. Perhaps the best advice for anyone who has contact with a person manifesting a Siddhic state concerns the difference between hearing and listening. Only when you stop listening to such a person will you finally hear them. In this context, we are not talking about mental listening. Very interesting because, yeah, those people a lot are paradoxical, and when we try to understand with mental, we try to understand it with logic, it's not working. It's only working with the heart. So cities can only be transferred through silence. There we have it, silence. It is the silences between the words that carry the transmission. If a teacher is really gifted, the pattern of their speech will calm the listener's mind, inducing a kind of trance in which truth can be transferred. For centuries, masters have used confusion as a means to stop the mind in its tracks and transfer the wordless truth. Perhaps one of the greatest examples is the Zen approach, which gives the mind an unsolvable paradox known as a koan, on which to meditate. These koans so confuse the mind that eventually it stops to rest and regain some of its energy. In that rest, a leap of consciousness known as a satori takes place. If you have the 64 Chinki prominent in your profile, you may experience these sudden leaps in consciousness. And so there's a lot of ways to be able to confuse the mind, to be distracted. So there's also the 56 Chinki, which is at the Siddhi level, intoxication, and that's exactly what it means in a way to also in another sense distract people, because the shadow of the 56 is distraction and Siddhi is intoxication. So intoxication actually confuses and distracts the shadow state. So if you know how to listen to poetry, then you are always close to truth. Poetry is a metaphor for the worldless. It dances along the banks of silence, teasing you to enter. When some years ago, I listened and checked some poetry, I was thinking, what is this crap? I don't get it. The words that don't make any sense. And even today, when you cannot listen it with the mind and try to understand it. You can only enter with your heart and able to understand it. So those who manifest the 64 Siddhi are those who teach spontaneously. They will use anything they feel like using as an illustration of what it means to be one with truth. There is no logic or pattern to such people or their teaching. They may even use logic as a device and then contradict it entirely through their behavior of words. I know a person that is doing actually that. Ha! I didn't actually think of that before. That is amazing. Okay. Interesting. It is the path of the poetic soul, the lover of wildness, of spontaneity, of paradox, the lover of the moment. Yeah, and to be illuminated means to think God's thoughts. In a scientific way, this could be said because you access to pure consciousnness, and the pure consciousness is all that is, a type of that, and so yeah, you just connect more to this source in a way. So let's check what else is there. The Siddhi of Illumination, and the tree is not running away, my friends. The Siddhi of Illumination is the direct expression of divine mind. Divine thoughts manifest instantly in the world of form. Such is their power. Those in the Siddhic state of illumination directly experiences divine creation. The highest state of illumination negates any form of identification. Divine thoughts cannot be understood. They are simply conduits of different frequencies woven together into beautiful ideas, poems, words, or images. My English sometimes is strange. They have nothing to do with the body or brain that generates them. They are solely for the inspiration of others. Such Siddhi makes no sense, and yet it also makes the most perfect sense. the perfect paradox to end the transmission before the reveal of this tree here. You can see this is a pine cone tree, in a sense, because there is a lot of pine cones on it. And this 64 Siddhi has the pineal gland as the psychology, which is the third eye. And there are a lot of, in religion, in a lot of different philosophies. I will put some pictures here also, I will check them out, where the pine cone is actually used, even in the Vatican is it used, as this sign of spiritual enlightenment and awakening or illumination, in a sense, what this chinky is about. And the pine cones, they look similar to the pineal gland, which is the third eye. They have a different similar shape, or actually kind of the same shape or something. And so there is this relationship between this nice trees here, pine trees. Actually, there are 3 or 4 directly next to me. I don't know what sign is that for me. Who knows? And yeah, that's about the transmission for today. Thumbs up when you like the video, and also give subscribe to the channel. There will be a lot more transmissions and content coming up. Also check the descriptions, and have a lovely, blissful day. You Dominic, and see you in the next transmission. Bye bye.